guys, you are going to today's folder. You should have already answered your warm-up, but if you go back to today's folder, we are going to make a copy of our notes. You will see an assignment for the dichotomous keynotes. Click on that assignment. And then click on the link to make a copy of your notes. Once you have those set up, you can go back to the folder, and then we are going to go over the notes together as a class and then work on our worksheet assignment. Okay, so a dichotomous key is another way that we can identify organisms when we don't know what they are, and we don't have to go through all of those different classification levels. We can now look at specific characteristics about those organisms that we're trying to identify. And based on those different features, we compare them and identify what it is. Okay? So a dichotomous key is a tool that allows the user to determine the identity of items in the natural world based on the item's characteristics. Dichotomous means that it's divided into two parts. So you look at two different characteristics and pick which one it applies to. So dichotomous keys always give two distinct choices in each step, and often they are opposites. So something like black and white, or good and evil, pointed, rounded, it has spots, it has stripes, it has 3 toes, it only has 2 toes, specific choices, and you have 2 options to choose from when you're looking at those characteristics. So in your notes, we are going to kind of walk through the setup of what a dichotomous key would look like. So there's not really much you have to type in this one. We're going to choose only one creature at a time. So you do need to type this in. So when we use a dichotomous key, there'll be, pictures or something visual that we can see that we have to try and identify. So this is our creature we need to identify. Our dichotomous key is then set up in steps. So we always start at the first step. It gives us 2 choices that we have to look at, and based on our characteristics or our character's features, we decide which one to pick. So either the creature has 2 eyes or the creature has 1 eye. What would we pick? Taylor.
1B.
Okay, 1B. The creature has 1 eye. So now we're going to go to step 5. So we skip steps sometimes in a dichotomous key based on those characteristics we pick. In step 5, then, we have 2 more characteristics to look at. The creature has 1 or more antennae, or it has no antenna. Which one would we pick? Allie.
5A.
Okay, 5A, it has 1 or more antenna. So it tells us to go to step 6. So we now move on to the next step. And you're going to keep going until you reach a step that finally gives you a name. So step 6 says the creature has 1 antenna or the creature has 2 antennae. So which one will we pick? H?
6B.
6B, the creature has 2 antennae, and then it gives us the name. Its name is C. So we have identified that creature based on its characteristics. We would then go back to our creatures. We've identified the first one, and in order to go through the rest of them, we would again start at step 1 and work through those specific characteristic choices. Okay, we are not going to do this in our notes. We will work on that later in examples. If we wanted to create a dichotomous key, we would have to include a few different things. In order to make it successful, you need to use constant characteristics rather than variable ones. So you don't want to have one where you have like a specific color, because sometimes plants change color, animals can change color sometimes, so that's variable. You want to try to keep it to specifics that you can observe, like how many toes it has, or if it has a tail or no tail, a long nose or a short nose, something like that. You want to use specific measurements rather than terms like large or small. You want to say, using those quantitative observations, you want to say like it has 3 toes or it has 2 toes. It's 4 inches long or it's 10 inches long. You want to make a choice a positive one. So something is instead of something is not. So like the example is snake ears are internal only. You don't want to say like snakes don't have ears, because that's not true. Their ears are just inside. And if possible, you want to start both choices of a pair with the same word or item. So the body is round versus the body is square. And once you get to the end where you identify your organism, you want to provide a full description, like its full name or the scientific name. So you have that exact match. Okay, 2 examples of what dichotomous keys look like. For plants, this is a basic one. It separates it out. Either the plant doesn't make seeds or it makes seeds. In the make seeds, it either doesn't produce flowers or it does have flowers, and then it would tell you the type of plant. If it didn't make seeds, then you would look at if it had like stems and leaves or if it didn't. The most common type of dichotomous key gives you options though. And this one is similar to what we're going to practice and what we will be looking at later next week as well. But you start at step 1 and you work through those choices and work down the steps. Okay? Once you are done with your notes though, we are going to get started with our alien classification activity. So we'll go over those directions now.